Welcome to another episode of Pulse of Polynesia. I'm your host, Leaso coming to you live from Katy, Texas. And as always, I'm joined by my incredible co-host, Chief Tassi, out in Oklahoma. And just an FYI, in case you see him abruptly leave, it is because there is a tornado watch. However, together we're here to bring you powerful conversations rooted in culture, community, and courage. And behind the scenes, our amazing Pulse of Polynesia team is monitoring our comments, questions, and feedbacks across our live platforms. So don't be shy to drop your comments, thoughts, and join the conversations. And tonight, we got in the hot seat ready and the energy turned all the way up because joining us is someone who embodies what it means to rise above, speak truth, and shine unapologetically. From glam to grits, from being bullied to becoming bold, her story is one of powerful purpose and Polynesian pride. Hailing from Melbourne, Australia, she is unfiltered, unapologetic, and absolutely unforgettable. Whether you know her as Suzanne Niko or follow her as luscious black woman, one thing is for sure, she's got something to say, and you're going to want to hear every word. So let's welcome her to the mic. She goes by Sana, aka Luscious Black Woman. Welcome to Pulse of Polynesia. What's up? What's
Alofa sana.
up?
Thank
Welcome.
you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure to have you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, by the way, my friends always said, like, don't worry about the future. All you gotta know is somewhere on the other side of the world, it's tomorrow. And so
Hmm.
if it's tomorrow, everything's gonna be okay. And so I
Yes.
know that it's Sunday, 2 o'clock your time, right?
That's correct.
Oh my gosh, how's the weather there for you?
It's just beginning to get very cold as we head into winter, so it's not hot here anymore.
Yeah, yeah, because I remember because I have family up in Australia and New Zealand. All Polynesians do, right? And I was
Yeah.
told that this is your winter and our
Hmm.
summer here.
Yes,
Wow.
correct. That is correct. Yes. Crazy.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's start with let's get started. First
Yeah.
of all, let's start with your roots, right? We know who you are, but for everybody out there that's tuning in, tell us about yourself, so who you are, where you're from, and also how has that place shaped you from where you came from?
Sure. So my my Balangi name is Suzanne Niko, which is what you see on social media. But my Samoa name is Susana, Sana for short. I'm 36. I live in Melbourne with my husband and our two kids. Born and raised in New Zealand and made the big move to Australia maybe 12 years ago, and just decided to start our life here. And what a life it's been.
Oh. Wait,
Yes.
you guys were in New Zealand before you moved to Australia. What made you guys decide to move to Australia?
It was never in the books, but both my younger brothers are professional rugby league athletes. They both played for New Zealand Warriors when they were younger, and they both got offered contracts to play in Melbourne for Melbourne Storm. So, of course, money was good. So they moved over with my other brother and my parents. And then my husband and I moved over shortly after that.
Oh,
What
by
was
the way, oh, go ahead.
what was life like growing up? Anything interesting in your childhood
Mhm.
you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, of course. So, where do I start? I was born and raised in Wellington. We moved to Hawke's Bay, Napier, beautiful small little town, when I was around about 10, I think, and stayed there right up until I finished school. School wasn't the easiest at all.
Mhm.
And then I went back down to Wellington to go to university, and I fell pregnant within my second year of uni with our first child, Ezra. And then we went to Auckland, and then we made the move over here. But yeah, growing up in New Zealand is completely different to how I see and view Australia. Completely different.
What makes it different?
Just the cultural aspect of everything, different religions as well. Obviously,
Mhm.
here in Australia, there's so much more like different cultures in schools, whereas back in New Zealand in our day, it was just your Māoris, your Pālangis, and your Polynesians, whereas here is so diverse. It's incredible. So incredible here.
Mm.
Just want to go back onto that. Did you guys ever spend time in Samoa during your childhood?
We
Or
did.
at least visit? Yeah.
We did. I think before I was a teenager, I think we had gone about maybe 3 or 4 times to Samoa, and I loved it. It was such a culture shock. And it's just vivid memories that will forever be imprinted on me. And I reckon that's why I keep going back every year now that I'm an adult, because I love it. I love it so much.
Beautiful.
I was thinking that you were raised in Samoa because your Samoan is very unique. You
Oh,
speak it very well. So
oh,
was it
thank
spoken a
you.
lot in your family?
Yeah, so when we were growing up, of course, being in a Samoan household, you get the telling off in Samoan. So those words we definitely understood. We did attend a few Samoan community things, but we weren't raised in a Samoan church, like AOG or Ifakasa or anything like that. It was mixed Samoan and English in our household growing up. And it wasn't until I became an adult and I met my now husband, and he is just full on Samoan. So I am so grateful that I married him, because without him, I would probably be a plastic Samoan, as per se. When people try speak it but can't pronounce the words right, and people automatically assume they're plastic Samoans. I hate that terminology, but yeah, without my husband, I would not know the lingo of Samoan language.
Mm.
Yeah, I like you just mentioned your husband, and he is a Matai, right?
Yes, he does. He
Okay.
does.
Yeah. And what village was that? Is your husband from?
Um, so it was from Nayafu in Savai'i.
Okay.
And forgive me, I have forgotten the other village.
Oh, you're fine. I know, like my roots. I know I grew up in American Samoa, but our roots are tied to Savai'i, and then
Mhm.
on my dad's side, he also has ties to Mangua. So yeah, very interesting.
Okay, yeah. And it's a side that I've never experienced, like especially with funerals, weddings, whālawe laves and stuff. I've never experienced that until I was in a relationship with him.
So you know how you mentioned that it was a culture shock when you went back to Western Samoa, right? So
Hmm.
you got to learn. We all knew love is there, right? But then being able to have to go through that now with, being married to a man that's very ingrained in the culture, was
Yeah,
that something that really shocked you at the same time where you had to,
yeah,
yeah, in what ways? I mean,
100%.
mhm.
100%. So this is a joke, but I remember growing up, my dad used to say to me, never marry a Samoan man, because it's all going to be whālawe laves. It's all you're going to do with your whole life. I'm pretty sure other Samoan parents have said the same thing to their kids. And I was like, don't worry, Dad, And we would go to Samoa when we were younger, and just seeing how they lived off so little, but were so
Mhm.
genuinely happy. The weddings, the funerals I attended when I was younger in Samoa, I did not understand the aspect and behind the scenes of everything, And it wasn't until I was a bit older, I experienced it as an adult, as a wife,
Mhm.
of how everything worked. And it was a very big eye opener. I don't regret it at all. It's just
Mhm.
something that we are built as Samoans to participate in. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Mhm.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Mhm.
And in addition to what you just mentioned, most people don't get the experience from being in a Matai family. Once you
Yeah, correct.
are under a Matai, or like the closer you are to the Matai, now it broadens your perspective because they are more heavily involved in the actual families. They are the ones that are doing all the coordinations. So from
Yeah,
your
yeah,
lens now, it's now expanded. You have a better grasp than most folks. So yeah.
correct. Yeah.
Sana, did you ever have to say no? Because you know how you're pretty much the women are the backbone of their husband, of
So,
course, you know. Were there times where you had to say no to your husband with the falavellaves?
there were, I can honestly say, I don't think there was a time I've ever said no, because with my husband, it's just him and his sister.
Mm.
Usually someone's have so many siblings, but it's just them two. His sister is not very well, so his parents
Oh,
relied heavily on Victor. So I don't think I've ever said no to anything that they needed. And his mum is very well known. She was the principal of Bersinger College, the Mormon school. And
yes.
yeah. So, I mean, she had a good job too, but of course, when there's part lovers, we would always put in, always. And it was never a doubt in my mind that we had to help. We had to do it.
Sana, what is how would you relay this to your brothers when palavras occur, especially if it's not your side, it's your husband's side? How do you convey that to your brothers?
I
Just
don't
out
convey
of
it to them.
curiosity. Hey brother,
They,
I got a palavra again.
yeah. No, I don't. I wouldn't say force. Like they would understand. For example, my father-in-law passed away New Year's Eve 2022, I think, 2023. And usually, families would get together, do a saunga kupe, or an envelope as per se, and, give to the families. But I never pressured my brothers into doing that sort of stuff because they do understand it. But it wasn't like oi, you have to pitch in money for my father-in-law. It was nothing like that. My brothers understand. They would give if they could give, but yeah, I don't force them to do anything at all.
Let's talk about your siblings, right? Are you the
Okay.
oldest of your siblings?
I am not. I have an older sister. She's 2 years older than me. She lives in Perth. Then there's me, and then I have a brother who plays professional rugby in France. Well, I think he's in England now. And he's just retired. And then I have another brother who lives in Sydney currently, and I have another brother who lives here in Melbourne. My dad remarried, and he gave us a younger brother and a younger sister. So there's quite a lot of us.
Wow. How was it? It seems like you had a was filled with a lot of boys in the house. So were you pretty much having to toughen up with them, or how was it? Or I'm
Yeah,
taking you probably, yeah, spoiled, or how was it for you growing
yeah.
up with them?
So I was definitely spoiled. My dad's family, my mum's family would come over, they would take me out. But me and my brothers were all athletic. I played netball, basketball, volleyball, rugby. My brothers just participated in volleyball and rugby. So if we were at school, after school, we would be split into trainings. Every day after school, we would be somewhere at training. And the only time we saw each other was when we came home to eat and sleep. So there wasn't really time to interact or mingle as siblings as per se. Only when we traveled, which was very rarely, but yeah, I was always spoiled.
That
Did you
is
get
very
to
unique
attend
having, go ahead.
did you get to attend a lot of your brother's rugby games, like to travel internationally?
um when they were younger,
No,
is
your
that
brother
what you're asking?
that
When they
just
were...
retired. Have you attended some of his
Oh,
games?
okay.
Yeah.
So I have not watched Elijah play overseas. A one-way ticket from here to Paris is like a house deposit. It's insane. Um, but when he used to play for Warriors and Melbourne Storm, we were always there and we loved it. That was like our Saturday family day, was going to the rugby to watch the boys. But when he went overseas, it was just so hard to watch him. So we would try watch on live television if we could. Yeah, those were the only times in his adult career I could watch was on TV.
Sana, who got you guys involved with sports? Was it just something that you guys automatically got involved with playing?
I think my mum was athletic in her high school days. I don't
Mhm.
think my dad's ever played. Um, we just found a love for sport when we were
Mm,
growing up, and we just stuck by it. Um, I don't think we had many friends. Like me and my one of my brothers had a lot of friends, but my other brother and I didn't have a lot of friends, and we just turned to sports just because we could socialize with others.
mhm,
You know what I mean? Like to interact with others, and within that sports group is how we made our friends, if that
mhm,
makes sense.
mhm.
Do you attribute a lot of athleticism part of your Polynesian ethnic, your ethnicity or your bloodline?
Hmm.
You think that athleticism is from, just being poly or just,
Oh, I do have a few aunties and uncles whove played and competed professionally. I have an auntie in Perth who was Samoa's weightlifter champion. She played for the Samoa women's rugby team. My grandpa was a professional
Wow.
boxer. Um, oh my God, you put me on the spot. I can't remember.
No, the reason why I ask is like most Samoans, like growing up in Samoa, almost every kid is athletic. I mean, you play in the evenings, and then you may not play on the high school team or anything, and then you get to
Hmm.
the States, all of a sudden you're like the superstar, and you're looking at yourself and saying,
Yeah,
"Back home, I'm just the average kid," but then I get to the States, and everyone is looking at you as like, "Man, this is a gifted kid." So, I mean, that was is what came to mind is the natural athleticism. It seems like it's built in
yeah,
us. Yeah.
yeah, it is. I would agree. It is built in us. There's so many kids, Islander kids who are so talented, they don't even know it. They don't
Wow.
even know it.
Mhm. Well, Sana, let me jump into something other than the subject that we're talking about. We're going to switch gears. We
Mhm.
we learned that you're half Samoan.
Yes.
What is the other part of your ethnic background? And how
I
and is this go
am
ahead.
I'm half Samoan, half Bangladesh. It's my Bangladesh side I did not find out until I was, I think, 21 or 22 years old. And just out of respect of my dad, for my dad and my dad's family, I have never spoken about it since. And it's not something I want to navigate through trying to find my roots of. I am proud to be who I am. And yeah. But yes, half Bangladesh, half someone.
Yeah, I want to
And
stick on to the culture aspect of that because now we're talking about, the two races that come into play. But I notice you have a lot of tattoos and
I do.
walk me through uh, your malu process.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Okay. Sure. So I'm pretty sure it was 2022. My memory is like a fish. I don't remember anything. Um, and my husband decided to get his songai miki, the men's better. And he said, I want to get it done and I want you to be my soa, which is just, to get it done
mhm,
with him. And I was like, sure, why not? Paid the deposit and I found out I was pregnant. So obviously I couldn't go ahead with my malu. We continued on with his journey. And just before he started his journey, I had a miscarriage. We lost our baby. So I decided to get my malu done. I was on such a roller coaster of losing that baby because it is so hard for us to conceive. And once I lost that baby, I wanted to go ahead with this malu just to empower me as a woman.
yeah.
And just to be next to my husband to do it together. That was the main reason why I decided to get it done.
And it seems like it was a great journey, and it came like it made it like they always say, you complete me, right? So that
Hmm.
connection you had to be as your husband's soul, it seems like you couldn't ask for a better story than and how
Yeah,
that came about. So yeah,
100%. Yes.
but I want to stay on that subject. Were, were
Hmm.
there any criticisms, after getting that malu? What has
I
the
don't think I
community?
I don't think I copped any criticism about my malu until a recent incident on social media happened, where my line of work was brought up with the malu. And that's the only time I've ever received backlash about it.
Okay. All right. So now that you sort of mentioned that, go ahead and share with us what I know everyone that's out there already knows your line of work, which is OnlyFans. But there's
Yeah.
something that you shared with me. You said it's not just what you guys think of. What is it that we
Yeah.
don't understand what OnlyFans is? Just broaden our view.
So I think to the younger generation, once you hear OnlyFans, they're like, it's automatically sexual stuff. And the thing that people don't understand with OnlyFans is it is a platform where so many creators charge subscribers to sub to them to watch either recipes being made, yoga lessons, readings of a book. Like, people will actually subscribe to you to watch that sort of stuff because they are a fan of yours. That's why it's called OnlyFans.
I see.
So it's not just like sexual stuff on there. There are so many things on there that people subscribe to watch.
Now, when you mentioned that to me, I was like, okay, wow, that's something I didn't know. And then, a lot of folks are out there are being too critical. But then when you mentioned
Yeah.
that, it really does make sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a question on here. I'm gonna pop it up there. So OnlyFans is one of those platforms that sparks instant reactions. What made you first consider starting an account?
Okay, so oh God. I would say I get constant DMs on my social media from men and women, surprisingly, just trying to chat me up. And it wasn't until my husband and I separated last year, it took off. And when we got back together and we were working things out, people were still asking me for photos. It was unbelievable what they wanted. And my husband suggested, just charge them. Why don't we just set up an OnlyFans account and charge them? And I thought, if he's on board with it, what can I lose? So that's how it all started. I signed up and I would message them back and say, okay, if you guys want that picture, video, whatever it is, here's the link. And that's how it all started.
And it was also a good way to supplement, any financial constraints if you did had at the time. And then can you talk about that, pre OnlyFans and currently, your financial state? Are you comfortable about sharing, from then to now?
Yeah, sure. So, oh goodness, I have been working since I would have to honestly say since I was 13, part-time after school, obviously, just to help my parents. My mom used to work in a supermarket, and if we needed the extra money, my dad would pick fruits in the orchard. And obviously school fees, sports trips, sports uniforms, it was all adding up. And I thought, you know what, I can work just to take the pressure off my parents, just to pay for my things. So ever since I was 13, 14, I've been working. I went to university. I was still working while I was pregnant. And we didn't have a lot of debts back then. And I'm very good at saving, very good at saving. And we moved to Australia, and the money here, it's money we have never seen, especially if you're qualified to do something. And we only had the one child at that point, our oldest son, and we were living with my parents. So we were just earning money just so we could. So we saved everything we had. We bought our car, and then we decided to have our second child. And that's when we moved out, had our own place. And we literally, no one believes me, but we literally saved our money. And that's all we did. We honestly saved. We had nothing to like, of course, being someone, the first thing you want to do is be a homeowner. Of course. That was not in our minds. Like, we just saw this money in Australia, cannot believe it's double what we were earning in New Zealand. So we worked, we did overtime, we did weekends. We would work to the point we wouldn't see Ezra sometimes. We'd leave him with my parents just so we could work to have money.
And that's the part I think most people don't understand or didn't know, right? Those are the struggles that
Correct.
most people
Yeah.
don't understand on your background.
Yes, absolutely. And they think I make my own money. I'm married. I've been with Victor for almost 18 years. So what we earn is what we earn together. One
Yeah.
person can have a huge amount of income, but so can the other person. So if you combine those together, that's how we live.
Yeah. I don't want to interrupt your interviewing, but you have a lot of comments coming here, and it's heating up our
Oh, I
board. So
can't see them. I'm so sorry.
So
okay.
let me read one. There's a lot of judgment, but for many people, it's a real source of income that helps pay bills, support kids, or survive. How has it impacted your life financially?
How has it impacted my life? It has impacted it amazing. Financially amazing. I think in the first 5 weeks of doing OnlyFans, I made $25,000. 5 weeks. And it was just, of course, you're not going to, when you see that sort of money, you're not going to want to stop. Do you know what I mean? And then I think I only advertised it on my social media once or twice, and then it just became word of mouth. And then when this online stuff happened, it blew up. But financially, it has been such a blessing to not only me. I mean, my husband doesn't have to work. He just wants to work to get out of the house. I give my kids what they want. I grew up wanting to have things, but knowing we couldn't afford it. And I did not want to raise my children having to feel like that. So whatever my kids want, they get.
Let
I
me
know I
read
talked to
another.
you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I know we talked about this last night, but I just wanted to bring it up. The profession. I'm not gonna knock your
Yeah.
line of work. And
Yeah.
then there's times I told Leaso, I think we're in the wrong line of work. I think we need to go there, like to make that kind of income. Like, who's to argue about that? But I always think about, being a Samoan, right? The families, there's so many faalawas, and so long as you
Yeah,
are kokua, right? You are
yeah,
providing that
yeah,
finance back to the family. Who are we to
yeah.
judge?
And
Yeah.
people don't see that. Like we would go on a weekly grocery here in Australia every week, and I will pay for people's shopping. We go to
Oh.
McDonald's. I will pay for the people behind us. I would go to Samoa. I did giveaways there. I pay for people's, like, it's just who I am, and my husband always reminds and grounds me to say, there is a reason why we're receiving this. It is a blessing, and we must bestow it onto others.
Hmm.
There's people out there who don't have what they need. I'm so bad at putting things into perspective, but he's basically just saying, we know what we had growing up, which was not everything. So just give on to others who don't have what we have, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sana, let me read some of the comments that we have on here.
Sure.
As
I'm just going to have a
Sarah
drink.
says, I absolutely love her energy. I'm a fan.
Oh,
And then
thank you.
she also says, please tell her I'm a fan. I just did.
Yes, there is
Thank
a
And
you so
fan.
much.
so we have another
Oh, I
question.
appreciate that.
There's a lot of stigma surrounding OnlyFans. What's one of the biggest misconceptions people have about you because of the platform?
That I am a sex worker. Now, people think I sleep with multiple men or whatever it may. That is not true. Everything on there is just me. And it's literally just me or my husband. It's not something I like to extend and talk about, but that's the biggest misconception is people think I am sleeping with multiple people on this platform. That is not true.
Mhm. Well, it is how it is with the well, I think it's pretty much people in general, but a lot of growing up in the Samoan culture, right? There's a lot of talk. And we
Yeah.
saw that, and I hate to bring this back, but we don't need to mention names. Going back to the bullying, well, talking about bullying, what
Hmm.
just happened recently probably triggered what happened to you growing up, that
Yeah,
with the bullying part. Can you tell us about that? Because I know
of
there's a
course.
lot of people out there that's going through similar situation.
Yeah, of course. So I would say the bullying in my childhood started when I was in primary school. Um, the couple of times we went to Samoa during that age, I would come back with boils. And
Mhm,
when you have boils, as a kid, you're scratching, it leaves scars on your leg, your body, everywhere.
mhm,
So I used to go to school and people used to call me cigarette burns because of it, elephant legs, blackie, bunga. Bunga was like a common word for Samoans back then when I was a kid. And I just never understood why. And I shut down. And because I shut down, I was seen as weak to a specific bully that I had. She was twice my size. And it started off with her just pulling my hair, walk past, shove. And then it got to the extent where she would hit me. And I never, to this day, I don't know why I didn't tell my parents. It wasn't because I was scared. I don't know why I didn't tell them. And it got to the point where it went on for a few more years, that after school, I would wait for her at the playground behind our school for her to beat me up. She'll beat me up,
mhm,
I would cry, she'll go walk home, and I would walk home too. And it just, it's so, when this all blew up on social media recently, it was just bottles of emotion that came out that I just never thought I had to revisit again, because that's what it felt like. It was just trauma that I had stored that just came unraveling back with the name calling. That it just belittled me as a person.
So going back to that bullying, the recent one now, you're getting
Hmm.
cyberbullied, right?
Yeah.
Pat, has the community rallied in your support? Can you share, your supporters?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yes. Excuse me. When I just was going about my day, went to sleep, I woke up and I had so many DMs that was passed around saying, "Sis, have you seen this? These ladies are talking about you." And usually I'm just like, oh, whatever, didn't really care. But because there was so many, and I was like, it has got to be that bad. So I
mhm,
decided to watch it. And it blew my mind. I don't even know these ladies,
mhm,
but to talk about me and the extent that they did, I was like, why? And then that's when I made that clapback video.
mhm.
Now, I would have left it at that. But the fact that one of them took it to the extent of leaking sexual videos on a minor platform, I knew something had to be done, because that was not okay. That was not okay.
Mhm, mhm,
And then, I went to your page and I noticed you're about to release a clothing line. It seems like
Hmm.
this sort of was the inspiration behind that. Can you share some about that?
Correct. Yeah. So one of my really good friends and a few followers, because I had on my Instagram stories when this was all going on, I would have just hashtag lines, just random, like
mhm,
clocked it, or mapungi, just because
mhm,
I'm very, very petty. So when I did those hashtags, people were just laughing. And a friend of mine and a couple of followers were like, you should actually put those hashtags on a t-shirt. And I thought, oh my God. So I did it. I started it. If it wasn't for this particular situation, I would never have had the drive to
mhm.
start the clothing business that I've had in the back of my mind for years. So this was an actual stepping stone that I needed, and the only positive
Yes,
thing to come out of this whole scenario.
yes, yes.
Just make sure you make a hoodie so when I buy one, I can walk around and have
Yeah,
that. Like,
100%. They
Yeah.
my
arrive.
homie.
I'm waiting for the samples to arrive and then we're on. Don't worry.
Yes. Well, Sana, we got a question here for you. The Malu carries deep cultural meaning and responsibility. It's sacred. At the same time, you have an OnlyFans, which some
Mhm.
people judge harshly. How do you navigate those two parts of yourself when people say they don't belong together?
All right. So that is another aspect that I am still learning too. It's when I got my muddle done, OnlyFans was never in the books. Like that was something I never ever thought of or crossed my mind. The thing people don't understand or probably realize, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of girls with a muddle on OnlyFans. That's what they don't. They think I'm the only one. I'm not the only one on there. I do. My muddle is. I love my muddle. I'm just a very confident person. On my Instagram and social media, I'm in two-piece bikinis and
Mhm.
I showcase my muddle everywhere. No one has said anything. It wasn't until this line of work came out and people were like, uh-oh, she can't have the muddle and do that at the same time. So that is a concept I'm still grasping at. Like, why is it such an issue with so many people when back in the day, girls could wear just a necklace and go naked and wear their muddle? Like that was their clothing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's interesting
And
you bring
people
this up.
don't,
But my follow up to your question is, now you mentioned there's a lot of females with malus out there. Are the men out there as well? OnlyFans with their have you seen any?
honest to God, I think I've only seen 5 men do it, but they're not
Okay,
creators. They're just part of
This
particular
is
creators. Yeah.
I
Arlington. I'm
see.
kind of curious to know why you're asking. Not just kidding.
No, because I wanted to make sure that we're covering the whole aspect, right? The men and females. Because I don't, if everyone is
Yeah.
attacking the
Yeah.
females and yet the men are out there as well, then we need to broaden our perspective and say, okay, why target the
That is
females
true.
if the men are also out there? So just wanted
That's
to
true
Yeah.
too.
add
Well,
support for
um,
the females.
Sana, we have another comment on here, and we're just going to jump into this part of it. Her health journey is inspiring. So tell us about that because we've seen a transformation from how you used to look
Yeah.
to a different beautiful. Well, you've always been beautiful, but so tell us about that journey.
Sure. I have always been big boned. I've always been a big girl. I have never been skinny. At the peak of my netball career, when I was younger, I was 116 kilos
Wait,
and I had a
hold on,
good
Sana.
body. Yeah,
160 kilos. What is that translate into
116,
pounds?
116.
Okay.
Oh, I think
I was gonna
232
say
pounds.
200. Okay, okay.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and I could wear a two-piece as well. And I was slim. I wasn't fat, I wasn't skinny. And it wasn't until we moved to Australia, I found out I had polycystic ovaries, which is
Mhm.
just, it's PCOS. It cysts on your ovaries that causes irregular periods and things.
Periods.
It just,
Okay. Yes.
yeah. And I started noticing excessive hair growth on my chin, my mustache. Like I was starting to look like a man. And I was like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah.
They don't teach you these things in school.
No.
And then I found out I was diagnosed with that, and that was the reason why it was taking us so long to have more children.
Mm.
And I started on Duramine, which I found out is similar effect to speed. It does help with weight loss, but once you come off it, you pile it right back up. Another thing
Mhm.
I went on, which I have shared openly, is called Ozempic.
Mhm.
I think it's called semaglutide, I think.
Yes.
And it's an injection you inject yourself with that diabetes people use.
Mhm.
And I reckon that's the only thing that's helped with weight loss.
Mhm.
Now, in Australia, it is very hard to get because they prioritize diabetics over people who want to lose weight with it. But when I was on it, it it did shrink my stomach, so I wasn't hungry all the time, but I know how to train. I know how to eat, I know how to
Mhm.
train. And I've just kept going at that. I think every human adult knows if you eat shit, you're going to look like shit.
Yes.
So it is all about mentality. I don't go to the gym every day. I used to, but I'm a mum. I'm a business owner. I'm a human. I
Mhm.
don't glamorize going to the gym to look good. I go to the gym to feel good.
Yes. Yes, I totally agree. Now let's talk about kids, right? You talked about your I thought so grandkids, were those your grandkids? Because I saw you carrying
No,
two
oh my gosh.
babies.
Oh my goodness, no. So my cousin, she she's younger than I am. And she moved to Melbourne with her partner. And when I found out she was pregnant, I was like, oh my gosh, another baby. And I grew very, very close to that baby. Then she became pregnant for the second time. And I remember in my Instagram stories, after she gave birth to her second, they were coming through the door. And my husband said something like, oh, our grandkids are here. And I was like, oh my gosh, our grandkids. And it just started from there. So we jokingly call them our grandkids, but they're not actually my grandkids, no.
But really they are your grandkids, they love you like a
Yeah,
grandma. So we'll
yeah.
take
I
that.
treat them, yeah.
Sana, I just wanted to add in regards to the IVF. You've
Hmm.
tried IVF. It's
Yes,
not something heard of our Polynesian women using that. Um,
no,
was this was like the last resort for you and your husband was to use IVF.
correct.
How was that journey for you?
It was not easy. Oh God. After our Avon, our youngest, we fell pregnant naturally in 2019. And I didn't know I was pregnant at my wedding. Because with PCOS, you have irregular periods,
Yeah,
so you don't know. Do you know what I mean?
right.
And it wasn't until before our wedding, I had the marina put in. After our wedding, I went and I said, okay, I want the marina out
Yeah,
because we want to have a baby. They couldn't find it. And I was like, oh, okay, great
yeah,
news.
yeah.
And then I started experiencing these really bad pelvic pains. And I was like, okay, maybe my period's coming. And then one day at work, I was a workaholic. Pain did not faze me. It was not going to stop me from working. I
Mhm.
was sitting on my office chair. I went to get up and I couldn't move. I had to be wheeled into the ambulance because I could not move. We get to the hospital and I find out that I had an ectopic pregnancy. And it's a pregnancy where the baby actually bursts in the tube. And the pain was because I started to bleed into my abdominal walls. And if I had gone in the next day, because I had the pain for 3 weeks, if I had gone in the next day, I wouldn't have made it. So when they removed baby and my left tube, I had one tube left, and that tube and ovaries are filled with cysts. So
Mm.
they told us right then and there, it's going to be very difficult to fall pregnant. You have a 1% chance of falling pregnant naturally. And I said to my husband, okay, we need to save more money. We're going to do IVF. And then COVID hit. And in Melbourne, there was a stop to IVF. And then when it was about to open up again, we got our appointments booked in and we found out we were naturally pregnant before we went in. And that was when we started my husband's journey. So I
Mm.
was like, great, we don't need to do IVF. We're pregnant. And we lost that baby. I think I was about 20 weeks.
Yeah, I'm
We
so
lost that
sorry.
baby. And it was such a traumatic time in my life because I'm thinking, I am such a good person. There are people out there who get pregnant who are addicted to drugs, who murder their children, who abuse their children. But I was saying this to God, and I was like, and you're taking children away from me. So I completely lost my spiritual side with God and my faith at that time. And when we lost our daughter, I was so mentally broken. I remember, oh my God, I don't want to cry. I remember I collected her ashes, and because all I know is work, I collected her ashes. We had her cremated, picked up her ashes. I came straight home and I worked. All I did was
Oh,
work. And my husband said to me, you can't keep doing this. And I said, I don't know anything else but work. And that's when I took a break from my 9 to 5. I needed a mental break, which
yeah.
was meant to last 3 months. It has now lasted 3 years. And after we lost our daughter, I said we need to do IVF because I can't go through this again. And IVF is one of the biggest struggles I have ever had to go through in my life, ever. The biggest thing I've ever had to go through.
Why is that? What is it that?
Um, you're paying all this money and you're not even guaranteed a baby. It is physically draining on a woman's body. It is mentally draining, and it is all a numbers game. You can have all these eggs collected, go through all those injections, pay all this money, have all these eggs for them to not fertilize. Do you know what I mean? Or you have 10 embryos that have survived, that have fertilized, but only 2 of them survive. You put those 2 babies in and you miscarry. Like, it is a huge process that you have to be mentally prepared for.
That's like a roller coaster. That's
Oh my God,
crazy.
yeah, it really is. But
Sana, I'm
I
so
would do
sorry
anything.
that you had to go through all that.
Oh, thank you. It's just it's life experiences that make me who I am. And it is never, well, for me, I don't see any other Polynesian woman talking about it as a content
Yeah,
creator. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So I just thought putting it out there would help other women, and it has. So
Hmm.
I love getting messages from women saying, if it wasn't for your IVF, I would not have gone through that avenue. The costs, just mentally preparing for it, like, I love being there for them.
Yeah, and sorry that you had to go through that painful process, but we do have some support messages coming through. If you can pull that up
Yeah,
again.
cool.
All right.
I wish I
Sorry to
could
hear
see
about your
them.
miscarriage. How did you hold on to hope when things felt impossible? Was there a prayer, a ritual, or even a single word that kept you going?
How did I hold on to hope? My husband. Um, and I think I was such in a bad mental state, which is one of the reasons why we separated, because I couldn't bear the thought of not being able to give him more children. Like, I felt like it was
Mhm.
my fault. And just people just assuming we separated, this power couple, we separated because one of us cheated, but they don't realize the backstory as
Yeah,
to why this has all transpired.
right.
Yeah, as a
Not that it's
woman.
any of their business, right? Not that it's
Correct.
any of
Yeah,
their
not that it's
business.
any of their business, but I know that I put my life out on a public platform, so I would
Right.
expect the backlash, you know what I mean? But being a woman, a wife, and not being able to hold on to a baby for my husband, it just made me feel like, what am I doing? Like, is he thinking, oh, I'm gonna go sleep with someone else just so I can have a baby with her? That was my mentality. And I didn't want to be a burden for him. And then we did our first IVF transfer last year in May, and I miscarried, and that broke me. And that's what started our separation, because I could not handle that miscarriage at all. I was like, 3 babies? Are you serious?
Yeah.
But I know there's people out there who've had more miscarriages. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do it.
Sana, we have another comment for you, a question
Sure.
pretty much. Whether your journey ended in birth, adoption, or acceptance, what has it taught you about love and surrender?
What has it taught me about love and surrender? Love each day. Love as much as you can each day. Honestly. Um, the stories I get daily in my messages from people with the same questions, I don't know how to answer them directly, because I can only share what I've been through, if that makes sense. Um, yeah, but I don't know. I just love as much as I can every day, especially on myself.
Brother Stowers sending heart emojis and a shaka sign. So he's sharing the love. Yeah,
Oh,
feeling the love.
bless.
All right, we got another comment here from Honolulu girl. If someone listening is in that quiet place of waiting right now, is there something you'd want to say to their heart?
Quiet place of waiting. What are we waiting for? No jokes. Approach each day as you can. Don't wait. What are you waiting for? You can only. When I was in therapy, there's a quote I will always remember from my therapist that said, "How you interpret things is how you're going to make your body feel." For example, if you say to me, "Oh my gosh, you're fat and ugly," it's up to me to make my body feel like, "Oh my God, you're so right," and cry about it, or be like, "Who are you?" and be yourself and move on. So my advice to you would be take each day as it comes, grasp at it, and do you. Do you, honestly.
Yeah, we got a couple more comments here. One it says love, 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 and then be kind always. So
Always be kind. I am such, if you know me personally, I am such an understanding person. I'm such a kind person. But if you rattle me the wrong way, you will get what's coming to you. Especially if I haven't done anything to you. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
people are just so mean.
you got a great story of inspiration, and I'm glad that you came on here because your background, it expands everyone's understanding of what you're going through. Because without
Yeah.
sharing that way, most folks will be very judgmental from the outside.
Judgmental.
But
Yeah.
I want to go back to, and I think this is where most of your viewers are coming from, and I want to make sure that we entertain, you know, their
Of course.
views. I want to go back to OnlyFans. So,
Yep.
if someone's out there that's interested in starting an account, what is your advice to them?
Sorry, can you repeat the question, Arlington?
Like, yeah, if there's someone out there that wants to follow your path, that's interested in pursuing, an account in OnlyFans, what's your recommendation to them?
Okay, I'm not glamorizing this kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
As I've said before, the only reason why I did this was because my husband agreed to it, because people were asking me for photos, for videos. And I thought, why not charge them? That's why I did this. I didn't do it because we were desperate need of money. It was nothing like that. But I would say if you are ready for your partner, your children, your family, your friends to know what you do and to have your stuff leaked, then by all means, if that's the only way you want to do it, do it. But again, it is not something I glamorize, especially for our young girls. But yeah, just prepared for the backlash, the judgment, the leaked, everything. Just be prepared for that.
Yeah, and for me, I'm always covering the culture side, but I'm also interested in the business aspect. So to me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm always looking at what type of income because people are struggling out there. So morals
Yeah,
aside, whatever, I mean, that's your own, values that you brought up. So
yeah.
we've already thrown
Yeah.
that out the window. You can judge
Sorry,
from afar. Go ahead.
I'm only smiling because I'm beginning to wonder, like, Arlington, are we thinking about something? Sir,
Yeah, yeah. So we're trying to
any
dispel this.
ideas?
Yeah, we're trying to dispel this. Right. This thought process, like people,
Yeah.
we're not trying to hide it, like because people are looking at it from the view of you, right?
Right.
Ah,
Yeah, exactly.
so
Yeah.
that's why I'm trying to bring light to this. So there are other folks who want to follow your path, and I wanted to share because for me, any business opportunity there is, we owe it to others who are struggling. We don't know
Yeah.
people's financial situations. People, this
That's
economy,
true.
especially
Exactly.
here in the United States, it sucks. So if
Yeah.
I'm looking at someone and they're making like your kind of income, like, you know, who
Yeah.
am I to judge that kind of money? Because I know I'm not making that kind of money, and I'm making good money, but I'm not making your kind of money.
Yeah.
So
And it just blew my mind how these ladies are just talking about me. Especially this, there's a specific one on there. I won't say her name. She's
Right.
just grossed out at what I do. Like I could never do that. And then I have all these people who are sending me receipts about what she does. And I'm like, how can you be a hypocrite? I would never downgrade another woman for doing what I do.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do. Do you know what I mean? It's just everything. I totally believe everything happens for a reason, and it does.
Mhm.
But if I didn't have my husband's support, if I didn't have my dad's support, this would not happen. But those were the only concerns I had, were my children, my husband, and my dad, and that's all that mattered to me.
Mhm.
And I asked you this question last night because these types of industry, we look at P. Diddy's issue that he's going through, and I shared my
Yeah,
experience when I was in college. I also tried to pursue modeling, right? And as I was
yeah,
going through the process of modeling, all those agents that were trying to hire me as a male model, they were
mm,
asking, like my wife was with me, and they were like, "Who is she? Who is she?" But the atmosphere or the backstory behind it, everyone knew that even though I was a straight man, the stigma was, are you able to swing that direction? If you want to become in
mm.
this profession, are you willing to swing the other direction? So I think the question I had asked you last night was, have you encountered anything, or are there others out there in your line of work that are controlling or trying to take advantage of the young ladies that are, on OnlyFans? Sort of like,
I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know of anybody who's been in that kind of position. I certainly have not. And for anyone who is, I mean, speak up.
Mhm. Right.
Definitely speak up about it. Yeah, but I personally have not experienced it, and I don't know anyone personally who has been in that situation at all. What a horrible thing to go through.
Right. Sana,
Yeah.
I
So
have
horrible.
a,
And then
sorry,
Go
go
ahead, Ash.
ahead. Sana, I have a comment out here for you.
mhm.
Um, it's a pleasure to finally hear your journey, sis. I absolutely love your positivity. I do too. And how you keep yourself together despite of all that you've been through. Bless your journey, sis.
Oh, thank you so much. I truly appreciate that. I really do. I
There's
didn't,
a, go ahead.
when this all transpired, this whole bullying situation, I thought so many people would hate me because of what I did. And it was literally just 2 or 3 fake accounts out of the hundreds and thousands that were
Yes.
commenting, like, so it just goes to show I do have a really good support system.
Yes, and that's what really inspired me about you. Not only all the contents and all the positive messages that you put out there, but it was how you handle things, how you were
Yeah,
able to handle
yeah,
all the negativity, and at the same time, you even put your foot down, like, okay, no, this has gone too far. We're gonna take it to a
yeah,
different level, but we're gonna do this the right way. And so
yeah,
that really empowers a person to say, hey, you don't let this go on too long.
yeah. And
It's
there were comments that I saw where people were like, "Oh, fuck my lalo," and move on. No, how are you going to tell someone who's had trauma to move on from something like that? Like, it doesn't. You can't dictate how long it'll take for someone to get over something of this magnitude. Do you know what I mean?
hmm yeah.
And it
Here's
just, I wanted to stand my ground.
we have a comment here. It says, I will have a drink with you at Tel Messina one day. Is that a bar in Western Samoa?
It's a hotel. It's a resort I always stay at.
Yay.
I love staying there. But yes, I am so down for a drink. I love drinking with my followers. It's such a vibe. It's the best.
Drinks on this, Sarah.
Yeah.
We have another comment. You're a strong, independent woman, owning your choices, your body, and your path. That kind of strength intimidates some people, but it inspires
And
so
it
many
does.
more.
Yeah, I totally agree. And do you know what? Back then, everyone wanted to be the skinny Victoria's Secret model. Nowadays,
Right?
men will drool over thick women, like literally thick women. And I have been offered collabs in Turkey to get the gastric sleeve. It's not something I've wanted. Of course, everyone wants to, get the quick look skinny kind of thing, but it's not for me. I know how to train. I know how to eat.
Hmm.
If anything, I just want a tummy tuck.
So I have to confess on here, I had a tummy tuck after working out and everything. It is worth it. It's
No
the
way.
best, by the way. So,
Oh my God, see? Yeah. I just want to wait. We have one more embryo that's frozen. I want to wait to
mm,
see if that evolves into an actual fetus, an actual baby. And then when I'm done with having kids, then only then I'll get a tummy tuck.
It's
right.
interesting that you guys bring up these points because even when I was going through my stage of modeling, I would have to send in body shots, right? And even though I thought I was ripped, I went from 220 and down to 165. But every time I'd send in my Photoshop, like so I send in my headshot, but then when you have to send in your body shot, and every time I'd send in a photo, they would tell me I'm fleshy, and I'm like, I
Oh,
just went from 220 down to 165. I'm barely staying awake because
Yeah.
my body. I'm working out 5 hours a day,
yeah,
and I was ripped. Like, I mean, talking about like ripped than I ever was before. But the agents kept saying you're fleshy. Like I guess that's the modeling industry's way of saying you're fat. And it just got to the
yeah,
point where
yeah,
165 for me was that's it. Because the last time I weighed 165, I was like a freshman in high school, and
That's too
I could
skinny
not
for
keep up with.
guys. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what? My Samoan butt better
wow,
go back and eat some more. This is not my
yeah.
profession.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Sana, I want to ask because of your platform,
Mhm.
and then you're dealing with your business, your family, and just everything overall. What is it? What do you do to keep your peace, and what is it that you do to protect that peace of yours?
I That is a very good question. I don't let things phase me as easily as I used to. Like I said earlier, about what my therapist told me, whoever talks to you, it's how you react to it, is how you're going to feel. So call me all the names you want. It's up to me how I'm going to retaliate to that. Um, I have kids. I have a home. I have a husband. I have to maintain my everyday mother and wife life in order to be the best version of myself too. So I go to the gym, take my kids to school, I work on my clothing line, pick up my kids, cook dinner, husband comes home, I'm cleaning, and it's just routine every day. I don't have time to, to go in and look at every single negative comment that anyone has to say. Because I mean, babe, if we're not on the same pay grade, why are you coming at me? Why do you matter? Why do you matter?
Right. I got a question. So we talked about the criticisms on you. What are the criticisms that your husband's been facing? Can you share about that?
Mm,
Oh,
good
okay.
question.
I don't think I think only one person has said anything negative in the whole social media life I've had with my husband. And it was during this whole bullying episode thing. There was a DJ while we were in Samoa back in April. He was just doing his normal recording stuff, and we happened to be in the shot. And that shot was uploaded onto a video. That video was then put on someone's particular Facebook. And it just set target of them looking at us. And I remember one comment specifically said something like, oh, it's just two parked whales enjoying their time or something like that. And my husband, he doesn't do social media at all. He just likes looking at family stories. But he's just sitting there and he's like, why do people talk like that? Why? And I'm looking at him and I'm like, babe, you tell me. If once we know, then we could tell the whole world, because I don't know why people hate. I honestly do not know. Is it the way we look? Is it what we do for a living? Like, I don't know. I genuinely do not know why people make remarks like that. But he handles himself very well. As you can tell by what's happened, he stayed off social media and didn't say anything.
Yeah, I think the criticisms come to almost every platform, and the same thing with us. So every time we run our stories per week, we have to also filter it, but the attacks also come to us, and we try to stay neutral. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's a lot of vulgar things that come through, and even something innocent as like when I share our Samoan culture, if I share some of the stories, the backlash and I mean the direct attacks, just kind of like what you're saying. I mean, I think it's just human nature. You're gonna get the goods, and then you're gonna get the bads, and the best thing to do is like just how do you just ignore all the negativity that comes in and just continue to march on.
Yeah. That's it. You just march on. I mean, they can say whatever they want, but what are they doing?
Right.
What are they doing?
So, Sana, I have to ask you, what's one stereotype about Polynesian women you love breaking?
The stereotype. Oh, that's a good question. That we can be whoever the fuck we want to be. Clearly. I mean,
Yeah,
you tell me
hands
another
down.
Samoan woman that does what I do. I personally don't know of any other Samoan woman that has a malu that does two-piece bikini shots on social media or does OnlyFans. Like, I don't know anyone who does that. And I think because we not glamorize, but we've looked at sex work as per se for being a palangi only thing. And it's not. It really isn't. Like, we enjoy doing the bad things, I'm more open about it.
And the best part about that with you is that you're upfront and you're not fake and you're bold. And I love that about you,
Yeah,
you know. Um,
thank you.
yeah, of course. And another thing I have for you to ask is heels or bare feet at family functions?
Heels or bare feet at family
Which
functions? Oh, it
which would
depends
you
what the
prefer?
function is. Oh, bare feet, 100%. I would prefer bare feet. Yeah, I would prefer it, but it depends what my outfit is. So
Mm, I agree. I agree. So going back to family, which are your brothers, right? Your brother had a successful
hmm
rugby career. What was it like having someone in the
Yep.
spotlight in your own family? You have two of them. And so you've talked about
Yes.
this
I have three.
before.
Oh, two
Three.
sports. Yes, yes.
So
So I have
especially
four
how,
brothers
go
in
ahead.
total.
Wow. Yep,
I
yep.
have four brothers in total, but two of them play professional sports. Yeah.
And how was that when you guys first received the news that your brothers are going to be professional rugby players? But I'm sure it was an excitement.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to be famous. But after the game, when they would play and people would ask for their autographs, I was like, oh my God, this is actually happening. I was so happy that they got into the professional side of being an athlete, because, man, when we were young, I remember the street lights were our training. Like, okay, where we lived, it was like a dead end street. So it was not busy at all.
Mhm.
My brothers used to double up on their rugby socks to do sprint trainings on the gravel on the road, because we didn't have sport shoes. And they would time each other by throwing chalk or something like that. And then we moved to Auckland and we lived on North Shore. Their rugby trainings were every day, maybe 40 minutes to an hour away. And we had the silver van. And my dad used to sleep in that van with my brothers in there, because he had to work in the same area because we didn't have the money for petrol to be going back and forth to where we lived to trainings, so they used to sleep in the van. And and once they made the big break with their career, it was like, oh my, thank God. Do you know what I mean? Like, my dad doesn't need to drive these distances anymore, and my brothers can give back. So I
Mhm.
was very, very happy when they made the move to Melbourne.
All right, I'm
Well,
gonna jump
okay,
on,
go
read some
ahead.
of these comments that
Go
coming
ahead.
through. There's one from Vivian. If you can pull that one up.
Hmm.
You do you, boo. Keep getting paid for being real. Love you, sis.
Period.
Uh,
Yes.
let's see what else we have out here. Honolulu girl. Are your brothers single? Asking for a friend. Oh, there we go.
They are not.
They are not. Sorry. No, I'll
They
take
are
it.
not. No.
All right, here's another one. Awesome. I'm watching and listening in interest. Watching from Vanuatu. Oh, look at that.
What's up?
Oh,
Faftai
wow.
Pamanuia Leatua. Okay. Uh, is Vanuatu in the same time frame? Is it Sunday over there as well?
I
Good
believe so
question.
because they're on
Yeah,
Western
but they
Samoa
might
time.
be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be evening there.
All right. Humble beginnings. Sarah Vaimangalo. And then here you go.
Humble beginnings indeed.
I'm requesting a bad thing segment, asking for a friend.
Yes. Thank you for reminding. Sana, you have the segment that's called the bad things. Tell us about it.
Oh my God. Okay. So, in my everyday life, I have cousins who are like, oi, did you hear about this person? Oh my gosh, can I get advice? I'm like the go-to cousin, right? And then the mother of my grandbabies, me and her were talking, and she was like, why don't you do a podcast where people send in their secrets? And you don't have to out their name, but they can send it in anonymously about what they've done. And I was like, girl, I can't do a podcast. Like, I will be one of those people that have all the gear. I makwa, no idea. So I was like, I won't do it on it as a podcast, but I will do it as a TikTok. And that's how it all started. So people would send me their confessions. I would never leak names of who submitted them in. And I would just read and react. And I think my reactions to the stories is what like reeled people in. And more so because people wondered if the story was about them or not.
Mm.
So, and that's how it all started, this whole bad thing segment. And I love it.
So you're like
That's
the modern day Delilah. Do you know who Delilah is?
No.
Delilah.
Delilah is American.
Delilah would go into all
Delilah.
these
Okay.
stories. She's like a storyteller. So no,
Oh,
I
okay.
like
No,
that.
I haven't heard
I
of
like
him.
that. What you have going on. I was telling Leaso, maybe we should do something like that. Maybe people can send us their letters and we
Yeah.
can read them.
Yeah. I love it. I love reading the stories and reacting to it. And then when I'm reading it, I'm like, oh my God, is this one about me? Like, it's just the curiosity of it.
Sana, I have to ask, what was the one interesting story that really to this day it still babbles you about that particular story?
Oh, the white Subaru guy. It just it got so out of hand. I actually made a public apology to him because I just started and I didn't think the effects it would have mentally on these people. But the fact that a particular person was like, I know this guy, she outed him, she did a whole reel on her Instagram about him. So it showed his face. And I said, I take full responsibility for this transpiring out of whack because I was the one who read the story. But so many ladies came forward having kids to this guy, sending the same picture of the same guy. And I'm thinking, did he not think before doing these things that he would not get caught?
Again,
was, yeah, that,
this is kind of like tying to all our other side chick stories that come on.
Oh,
yeah,
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
but
you.
he
I'm
was,
glad you mentioned that because now we have a side chick story to this segment.
yeah, and it just, and then I found out he was married and had kids the whole time. So that's still a story. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah.
wow. I bet okay, I was gonna say, is he someone, but it's a white guy.
Yeah.
Hello,
Um,
papalangi fight side chick.
so
But
Ragnar from Vanuatu responded now, so it's evening, Sunday evening.
thank you,
So,
appreciate that.
Yeah, it would be.
and then Honolulu girl says, I love it. We do
Oh,
too.
bless.
Sana, so now we know that there's a lot going on with your life and your family. What are we expecting to see with Sana 5 years from now?
5 years. Hopefully not a real grandma.
Not
Um,
yet.
Not yet. No, my baby still has he's got
Mhm.
goals. So I don't want
Good.
anyone to be coming into breaking that. 5 years from now, I do want to own a few Airbnbs in Samoa, and I do want to build my dream home in
Mhm.
5 years' time. That's my biggest goal.
Awesome.
Hey, I wanted
Also,
to ask you.
go ahead.
I seen some of your videos. I never flown first class and all that. I love that lifestyle. Can you share some of that just so we can experience some of that
Of
for
course.
us? Yeah.
Um, oh, I just wanted to make this clear. There is economy, premium economy, business class, and then first class. I have never flown first class ever, I think. It's always been business class.
Okay.
But the first time we flew business class, it was because my husband and I had gained significant weight. And I thought we had the money. And I said, you know what? Let's just try. Let's just try for the first time. And ever since then, we can't fly any other way. I can fly economy if I want. But if you got the means, why not do business class? But yeah, it's you get priority check-in, you get priority boarding.
Right.
When you come out of the plane, you're first off the plane, you're first to get your luggage, you're first through customs. Like, it's just free food in the lounge, free food on the plane, unlimited drinks, the whole perks. More luggage, you don't have to pay for extra luggage. But I do have a trip coming up. I'm going to Dubai and Paris in the next couple of weeks. And I get staff travel only on economy. Business class, I don't get staff travel. I have to pay full fare. But for business class to fly to those two countries, it's almost $40,000 for one person
Oh,
return. And I'm like, that
wow.
opposed to $800 with staff travel economy, I'd prefer that because I'm not flying with my kids. So that's, yeah. And it's a very, very long flight.
You've traveled so many places. What's your favorite country that you've traveled to?
Oh man, Fiji and Samoa. They
Really?
are just, yeah. And I think that's why we go back so many times. I love the heat. I love tanning. I love tanning.
Mhm.
But yeah, Samoa, because my daughter's ashes are buried with my father-in-law. So that's why I love going back. Fiji, the hospitality is unmatched. Unmatched in Fiji.
Wow.
Got this
Well,
comment
that's
real
good to
quick.
Yeah.
know.
Uh, let's see. It says once you fly first class, coach feels like punishment. But yeah,
I don't
I
mind
wanted to
economy
highlight the perks of, like, we always talk
of
about
business class.
your well, the finances, the income that you make. So I'm always trying to like bring this to the forefront. You can enjoy these
Yeah.
things based on
Yeah,
your
you
income. So
can.
yeah.
And we are big people. Like, of course you want to sit comfortably. Who
Yeah.
would who wouldn't want to recline their chair on a plane and be able to fully lie down and sleep? Do you know what I mean? Like, and my eldest son, he's very tall. So when we sit in economy, his knees are touching the front chair. So when we have long flights like that, I prefer for us to be comfortable. I could never experience business class as a child ever. So that's something I want to give my children while I can.
Hmm.
And to try to capture all this together, we're not coming from the approach, Fama Walunga. We're just saying the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
But if you limit
Yeah.
yourself, it's because of your own doing. But
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, look at
Exactly.
these stories of success. You too can achieve that. So yeah.
Yeah, that
Uh
is 100% true.
Tailava Desmond, he says Des was here. Yeah. He's doing his own shout out.
All right. So, um, we are heading close to the end of our podcast, Sana, and we really do appreciate you being on our podcast. I'm such a big fan of yours, and
Thank
everyone
you
that
so
I
much for having me.
we really do enjoy it, and I'm so glad we have you on here so that you everyone can have a different perspective of the other side of Sana that nobody knows about,
Yeah.
and now they can understand, your side.
Yeah.
And so, not that it matters to the things that have gone on, right? But this is a good perspective to see. And like what
The
Arlington
real me.
mentioned earlier, right, right. Arlington mentioned earlier, like you don't know what everybody's going through until you understand and stop judging. I think that's the biggest thing,
Yeah.
because when you
Yeah.
stop judging, you start to love someone even more, like how I love you so much and what you do, what you stand for, and how you empower so many of us. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
um,
and for me, I'm always trying to tie it into the culture, and I love that you have a great understanding of the culture, and I love that you also share that your husband's a Matai, because a lot of people won't understand that. Okay, this person has a deeper understanding of the culture, which then transfers to his wife. So the
Yeah.
attacks that they're seeing from online, they're always under the assumption, "Eke loa, ko mea whang,
Hmm.
do you know the fasa mo?" So, but now that you
Yeah.
have the Matai in the picture, and now it dispels anything that's out there that these guys are not educated on their culture. They've been to Samoa,
Hmm.
so they speak the
Yeah.
language, they've lived it. So kudos to you guys.
Yeah.
Sana, by the way, I forgot to
Thank
ask, have you
you.
been to America? Have you traveled here to America before?
No, my son, we were so close to coming to New York last year.
Yeah.
But he really, really wants to come to America. So it is in the books,
Yeah.
but I am destined to get to Hawaii first.
Yes. Yes. And if you do ever come down to Texas, let me know. I am here in Texas,
Yeah,
Houston area. So
100% I will.
yeah,
and
yeah.
drinks on Leaso. What's the hotel Leaso?
Yeah.
I don't drink, but girl, yes, I will do. Definitely drinks will be on me. Well, Asana, would you like to tell us your clothing line, so everyone can look you up and support
Yeah,
you?
sure. So it's just starting. I won't officially release the website link until I think this coming Friday. It's called Luscious Locker. For those of you who know what Kardashian closet is like, it's exactly like that, but with our stuff in our closets. We have so many designer things we just do not use. And there's girls who ask where my fits are from. Some I get specially made or sent in. So I thought, why not have a website where we can sell what we don't use at a much cheaper rate,
Mhm.
especially for our big poly people who cut, wide foot shoes. And so that'll all drop by next Friday.
Yay! Well, we're
There you
excited.
go.
We can't wait. Yeah, go ahead.
Countdown's there
Thank
next Friday.
you.
And I
Yeah.
think
So
that's
mhm,
Thursday for us, or is it Saturday for us? Which is it?
Yeah, I think it's Thursday for you guys.
Thursday.
Okay,
Yeah. So
Thursday for
they're
us
in
in
the
the US.
future.
Yeah.
Well, Sana, is there anything else you would like to say before we close? Um, and so that everyone can look you up?
If you follow me, thank you. If you
Yes.
haven't, where have you been? Kidding.
Yes.
But thank you so much for having me, guys. I really do appreciate having this platform of yours to speak about me. I've never done anything like this publicly ever before. I believe everything happens for a reason. So I'm truly blessed that you guys have reached out and I'm doing this.
Mhm. Well, again, like we mentioned, we're very blessed to have you on here. And yes, there's a reason for everything. And this is meant for you to utilize this platform. And everyone out there who
Yeah.
is listening, look her up, Suzanne Niko. She's under at Luscious Black Woman. So please follow her. And and if anything, Arlington, do you have anything before we
Yeah,
close?
Sana, send all our love to you and the family, and thanks for everyone
Yes.
else
Thank
outline
you.
for all your comments and participating. So yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
And as always, to God be all the glory. And Sana, we love you. Thank you so much for being on our podcast.
Thank you
And
for having me.
we'll keep in touch and we're looking out for the
Yes.
clothing line. So we can't wait. All right, everybody have a
Thank you
good night.
very
Thank you
much,
so
guys.
much. And say hi to
Thank
your brothers
you.
for us.
and for those in the United States, safe Memorial Day weekend.
Yes.
Bye.
Good night. Bye. Bye.